Asiri so pai so ti se dinara. Be me ma uchuri ni ne. Me shafu me bafu ni jifo neno. Obeka sama menya uto.
Ube tumidi uzaka bidi pediye. Ebe mi ni mi mampo beka hopa. Ube tumia se meja padi nina. Nesu mikra padi sita iwubua. Sana udiye jubua. Ejenya mi mani diye senkaneno. Sanse wini mabre chichi sebuti. Itafuma weni inyi mamani ewawa. Nami yari enu chirese masei. Enyami enu chirese minye nipo. Nami kwane tumisi sanche breiti. Mini sobe tumi asesa mamani ye. Yadi inti ya mususu nyojo me. Mamani unti ya mususu ntete me. Na yari safoni Israel nyami o. Eja beka sama menya uto.
Remi yari tina. Yamama ni unu tina. Oh, yari safoni nyami
Obeba mamenya uto.
Ada sape mobro, yoni papa nyeni mwasye. Biare wada e binu manijeda. Obisu no ne biso sere. Sape ya yari ada bese de subonte. Appreciate ya sa wotri. Aya onya yari safo. Mese wapre onya kama fori bai. Yesu Kristo sani ya diape. Asena safa wakatenanti. Parasi forti asemia wetiko kumweka. Waje se waswa kete umida. Eti sada sape mopurose. Yoni pape minyo. Semi krachensi namjaso sresre pianyeti. Ope meni mbasi ajidi. Nesu senya kupoti asina. Misu mikrati asie. Eradinya kuporoti na himdasu. Ejabe kasa mamenya uto. Oh mi yaretina. Ejama mani urutina. Oh yare safoni yamio.
Obeba mamenya uto.
Abrabo munsemenko yentina. Enya twi bebrebe. Nyamiti asie beye wate.
Obeba mamenya uto.
Missy mapim swa kwa komeni. Mi mama be mumuda. Mi won't pay me when he does so.
Obeba mamenya uto.
Remi yarintina.
Adam Bacho, why ready? I be jam was your mama a brain in tea.
Oh, okay. Ready? You know, I bet the Yamia say, I want to bomb one and has a power, and so. Now, and there, now what you die a decay, you know, I be sheer lay so. Now, you bet drink when Yamia some. Nanya a year ni say, and yet and any die a decay, and there, you obeli die yene edi enkomo enra woni yedi nkomo enna eneso ye toa so mi se dodo no abeba beka ho ewo ebra esim enti ansana ye behye dwumagie na se no moma ye nyina ye nsie trase na ye mompa ye ebra ye tu ye nua no ahye onyamensa no edi se mempa ye ne esia Nyamu betu ne no enye obia se yenia Dr. Ofori-Yentumi na oni ye bekasa na nea o kan se osese ye nyina ye ma yasum na ho na ye ntie ensem a wode be ma ye no na ye honam ensem a ebeboa ye ne ye busua ye ma ye yerenom ne asafuni nyina etumo miemo mpaye yensu di mafuna ne nyame ye dawase anwumre ose ayawope na hotweda edikan wasafo ye hia na ye bedwene wonsem ho Bibia ye besua bia na ye wo Kristo Yesu na ode e ma yen. Eni nti enne ye de ye nua ofori e hye wo nsa. Ese ma na osu nyansa ne osu tumi. Na ma ho kronkron enka no ho. Na adisua wo ne ye besua enye nea ebeyan ye. Na yenya entiase ani humu ewom. Na ye de abobra wo nansan wiase. Wona emedru so nyina afo mbedru so asomdwiem. Ena eka ye ho na dwumadie kwa wieye a ye de yeye ne aseda ama. Siesie ye woye ho ban. Ne ka wasafo ho ewo wadom nti. Amen. We de panyin beja akira ma na First Nova asafo emani na ne awo no ode aka ye ho ene ye da wase.
Thank you, Father. Mesumi da se. Ejiri for mesama ye nyina akwaba. Edeba enwume edwumadie so. Said ye sha se endra no ene nyame ede ache. Inti ye beto aso. Endra ye share about mental health 101. The very basics of mental health. And ye share biblical example of a mental health case. Yes, Samson Ediano. And there, we said the whole week, your theme no a mental health in the family. A dream wapomuden who asem ewo ebusiem. Inti ne ba share the life cycle and I said the lifespan in nyina from awusu ekosi sebe obefim. Ni nyina no stages been the work no and then na come with it. Now said the Indra me make psychology for ne psychiatry for analogy bino. This model no is something that is known by most of us. Erickson's stages of development is known by most of us. But and then the no quite for kakra so. And you know, bear with me as we run through this for the next 30 minutes. Na yewia yaba kwan ama esembusa so aba. Nti no said the medical kind we're looking at the stages of development and also the life cycle from birth to death. What are the expectations from each one of us? And as those expectations no so no in so bay and ya enya ewo so and I say ya dream apomuden ehun sem ehun. Until you share all these 8, right, quickly. First one, no, from birth to 18 months. Yawo, ekwako sise obedi abosome edu ngotwe. A day and a year, you expect to say a busy. It's because so abofrey or ye delayed. What makes us say that? Anna abofrano so a day no so expect ye fear honum. It's to say abofrano yawo no na. So benye gidie ewo yemu and meka yen na yen as parents no and as a society ni mu no say obenye gidie wo society or the parents ni mu and also say onyi yen di no e sha ase from awusu ekosi abosome edunwotwe dodo na beka say abofre abosome edunwotwe de a day no nim. But this is what science has taught us, and when so ana practice has also shown us. Say ane abofra beto onum saa no eye o say o wonte asem o hu ade papa ana so nim de ekoso enso no o use the senses no na ni na so na no ne hene ene ne sa o de so ade mu nyina no o use ni nyina to be able to tell whether to trust or mistrust the system or the parents. Omo internalize happiness. To be say around that age, you know, you can say o super more than the way or so. Because the band say na nigia or the shenimu. Nemo no say bibi hane dia na osu. And they internalize happiness and externalize sadness. Typically, no, you just so omonti ase. And you pay attention much to them. And also say you know mundin komo. But then science have also taught us say abra oni needing komo oni nekasa o show no o show emotions to him or her no nyina no or respond it and or internalize it. Na no and the man it minya emujidie and also say onye emujidie. Yeah, na kemiako say especially this side of the world they obi catch elder bi say abroche dey ba say be pesca o ya banya beso enti no say nyamesom krapo no agi ato onom no na say ne bofra oda hono there be oba so ba be pesca enti yesika paninti and I'm not saying nyina no say be osika na dey see any so sir, but in our quest and in our attempt to make money no yeah that sometimes ye nyamre bebre sa emma mofra no tie koba ne sa na whether they will trust or mistrust us no ni nyina no ehya ase efi ho no and the ability to also trust the world no comes from their primary caregiver. Enti the nipa ye beja ye mofra ma omo no extremely important. Sebe so ye na yaka de bia na edi na dwimu dem for the rest of their lives. Atete ene ncheche ahodo a odemeba bi odemema ne bia no ade a ekan hodom enti no ade a ehu hia pa ye se ye de abofra beja no yenyi ni se ye betimi so de ye kra hye onipa kronsa enye santiti a odemema ya abofra no sa tete na ebema no ehu se whether to trust or mistrust the system. The second one, when the infie edu, abosome edu ngotwe no, ediko infie miensa, right? 18 months to 3 years. At that point is where they tend to be more autonomous. And also said they have shame and doubt. Either so be nyoma ononkwa, and also say fairwe, ene, and onyi ni hunnie bi ebebem. Enti no say edu samre na ubon say me no ebedoso ana no ebedoso. What I tell say mofra na yes you may ask yourself to say enti na cry dey would say be me and I say no because it's they feel say I want to be independent. Me like this is my space, this is mine, this is my toy. I did this, right? Enti ebe me no because what cheni bibi no so person be ya then the next thing you know enti eba ne sana at that point some may argue say oh muso munim de oye enti most akrake to bi no ne mame apie na oye eniamo ho se na mame na hwe no so me bay de onim de oye so that is the age to start setting limits with the kid. Every time Obiano, at any given point in time, we try to see as much as we can get away with. Until once we realize they say, me winner, I can get away with it, then of course I'll continue to do it. So all the parkour year back no who said there be on to me and get away with it now, then they'll put a stop to it. Right? Until limit setting is very important as early as that age. And they also learn to let go or hold on to things. Nti ne ya so obofra de omota de ade eche uhu abofra bi awaye ni bibi na eche obese hia no kwesiba mumuda, right? Because ne ya ode ahye ni mumu ode ahye ni musa. Nti no obi ono ma that is when they learn all of that. The autonomy no, their independence, they want to be alone and all of that. Versus so say the shame and doubt, right? Where they feel say I do with their manye ni ye and no the way is equal no not after their man a ferry bisa and a bano asafunumna a who here pa ye say your mofra no from children class or no ma and I say keji honum no say a ban say omo ye activity be no crampo no next one no to expectation na the way I befa akano no a who here pay ye because ubu na bem now mano e feel very bad of him or herself actually adding so benyano amana bibi and these things sticks with them throughout their lives or for the most part of their life until they go through another phase to unlearn what they already learned and relearn, right? They also learn between good and then hateful self-instances, right? And I say insistence, self-insistence. And Samre no no omusua papa anybody and I said you may be on ma yes me na me yeah and also say Benjamin Fuso to therefore once again it is very important to set limits and then direct the child appropriately and yeah they say oh osa onim dio yenti no otimi dio pebia. They also become very cooperative or willful and you know the autonomy versus shame and doubt. Some also known as towards the end of this group, 2 to 3 years more, no, then it becomes more of like, okay, met me new obi idea, right? Until they start to become cooperative kaka. They also become autonomous when good limits are set and shameful or have doubt when they are not able to succeed. And into the meka earlier says, say be as a bofra ya dear crampo, say if you say as a funim baby biarado. Say banner say oh ye bibi. Next say course the way see pedo crampo na yen shenin cranian guiding. Say they can be more autonomous and not being shameful. And if it continues without them getting the approval, encouragement, and share any adenosona, then it can affect their self-esteem from that age onwards, right? And as little as 3 years, so obenya ni mujidie obehu ni hu se osombo osani na ofata ni nyina no ehya ase efi samre no from 18 months to 3 years and I'm baby sa ade no ehya ase. Okay, you the next one. 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years. That is when it's mostly initiative versus guilt. So we realize say the autonomy versus shame no. So that me I and I no right. And so yeah, there's soonest and so now for the when you sat down to no. Then it carries on with the guilt, right? But then the only thing is the I and the meme and no becomes more of an initiative or should be or trust baby. Oh, hey, it's this ages from 18 months to 5 years in the guilt, the shame, and doubt in continues. Therefore, it is extremely important that kids at that early ages, and what say it be building almost self-confidence. Okay. And at this age, they tend to try new things. Emu bebree wɔ hɔnom a abɔfra de ne nsa so bibie mu a na yɛatea no. Yɛn nso a yɛntɔ kids friendly nneɛma mma ɔmo ɛmfa ɔmo mfa ɛntry because ɔmo bɛyɛ fie hɔ fi. It's better say try get the chance to have all these initiatives. Now I fie hɔ dom fi na wasa siesie. Dan say limiting it so much. Now for the own to be shame bibia say. Then they have that guilt, with them. They are also mostly intrusive due to their curiosity. Ope bibiahu. Radio si honom. Ohu obia wom ba radio ne kasa. Nti opeso tutu hwe se obi hye akira. Ohu that level of curiosity no. The toy ne wo honom. Obeba no na wa dismantle toy no. Anaso se wa yama bibia se wo ho. Yes, esan se ebo ka to ye ni nti no bo ne ye tia omo e wo ho but ese ye tia se baby omo su fiba you trying to understand say sa toy no ade no want say me brother way and I say my sister way and I say akra way am nim no oh wada house on kasa nti there say me hwe so you okay nti sa no mani nyina no it is very important that that initial stage ye timi bo mo na encourage more taking more initiatives. And yes, na netem be come that they tend to have more guilt, which once again affects their self-esteem. And then they internalize their guilt when they feel as something, or yeah, they're willing to meet and yet once they not both channel so. And my friend was my boss would dear grand I know I baby I say baby hano. It is because ebi ana adena or and call the way o sipe or into ofilise or fairly into once no akwakocha baby they are internalizing that guilt at that point into eso kon honum o ade to do ja de no abetan say na woni na di nkomo no asa hye nkra no ma na hye ase bio no oboa no etima guide no through it, right? They also look outside the home for more for acceptance. Akrabia ni teacher ni ma de pa who parents no out in Wofie, what channel say, oh, yes, say no, oh, there be but my teacher says they're looking outside more. Until once again, the school that they go to are sorry or more and cranny department. So and then bia or more dear granny I didn't know and who here per year because at this age, a hornum and most of these or more feelings, emotional well-being near I didn't know honum na build if if they're going out and not getting the acceptance and not getting the encouragement and not getting the motivation then it tends to affect them. It also tends to shape who they want to be in the future. My friend do between these ages now, 3 to 5, I know be may lawyer, may doctor, career days or school, right? May police ni, may teacher ni. So I didn't know a honum na etasha safe because a brother would dear grown no share characters on the screen, no. Now after the shape own parkour person. With that being said, it is very important what they also watch because what they watch, becomes one of the things that gives them the acceptance or teaches them about the society. If there's so much guilt, then it leads to conversion disorder, which is another condition, right? Into the conversion disorder, maybe I mentioned as you say, Ben may be on any fear. Now, Ben no air subordinate, na oko adwuma mu a na yetiatia no like there's a lot of pressure from work and obi a share no de onye ana wanye ni ye ana say report anye say that all of that was obebe fie no na yene ne manye ne hwe but omo no na be receive ebufo na onya wa adwuma mu no because adwuma mu no mo hye na ebufo no ntimi nka ho bibia because oye subordinate obefie ho no mo de a ono na ye oga na afi de or two nani asho so. And they convert all of that anger and all that onto something else. It was a more visa no about choice ebia enche no aseno because their frustration and their guilt it takes it onto the toys, right? And then also inhibition or the assumption now if they are abanimu, then they also have a lot of stress. Even at that age, they have a lot of stress due to all these frustrations. Then you go between 5 to 13 years. If you know echo edumiensa, they always try to produce something. And we're talking about industry versus inferiority. So yes, who's the initiative versus guilt. So I say the corner because as you initiate something, ocean your mass na then that also builds into industry. Now you're trying to do something more bigger, right? Into industry versus inferiority. So now instead of guilt, it becomes inferiority. I already talked about self-esteem. Into the inferiority complex here feeds more into the self-esteem of the individual, right? So they always try to produce something, most of building Legos or building blocks, they're trying to put stuff together. And they also learn new things and take pride in the things they make, right? Or the things that are made from what they do. No? Into almost they car bro, daddy look at it, mommy look at it, or percent or approval from you. And the banners all ignore now that area say, oh, then they start to feel inferior about what they've done. Right? And as you say, a bra oguso building now on to me, yeah, frustration, then they tend to feel inferior as a menyade. Once again, we have to continue to encourage them, be with them. They also they also learn to be handy or industrious during this stage. And they also learn to work with others. So previously, it was I, right? CC and also there. So man a task to work with others. They don't have a problem. They will gladly work with the individuals. And between the ages of 5 to 13 years, I think say Indra, say enye aha mo fancheme because that cast doors until sometimes I forget where questions were asked and some stuff like that. But me pretty sure say Indra and Obi Busa or I say Obi Babeko school. Nebano college already depressed about the course they're doing, right? And I mentioned say abra bofrano isano. Somewhere no they say pay attention to new man and the. And around these years, and you identify a new man or any ejeho, right? Into no who here say abra mo yes and you may no we pay attention and then we identify. Okay, they also need to be praised for the work that they do. Nti no say eba ne so ye bibia I yen sure say ye ni je ho yen show on cry na afi de motivate you mo nyem mo. Say ya motivate you mo ya mo akwanche na then they become conformist and they don't try anything on their own. Nti wo say oni panimu bi e wo hono na mo ye bibia ye omo be ye fo ni bi. Nti no de ye bia no be pene so because from the more problem ni nyina no kame aye se wanya ne mugidie se ono no betima ye bibia enti no so bi ka bibia o me fo de opani kan ye no so obi ye we a o kama pa ono akasa de on fa dwencha foforo bi ama they don't bring much to the table in terms of initiation. I mean ka se be wo honum no onye hwe ba se o hye bibia ase ana so se o madwen foforo bi de na ede obi can we are I'm a peneso o che na adwuma ne de obey pepepe but so ono ankasa hye bibia ase ne de ebeye de ma no ni nyina no hye ase efiri mofra ase. All right, into the next group no 13 to 21 if you do miensa ediko eduonu ebako into 13 to 21 no somewhere no identity versus role confusion.
Some when I'm jam, some part of my canoe.
Sister,
Na part of my own canoe. We have a good answer.
Pacho the upper del canoe no sisi ya basa se so if you no so. Okay. The identity versus role confusion no. A bra on the identify who they are. Okay, who they are. And ebia what the me say it is a BBC, but then I feel so say there be any harm never fitted. And this identity is not necessarily referring to gender, but really know who I really see myself to be. And they tend to find out who they are versus who society thinks they are. And as it thinks of them. Example, Ebiana, maybe say me a middle child, right? Yes, 7 I'm here fourth born, into me right in the middle. School at McCoy, secondary school at McCoy, me two older brothers, echo hono. Into member no men be also 3 there because penny party or bad. Into Odona uncle school because he echo boys school. First two no echo the same school at McCoy. First one, school prefect, was school mono. Second one, a general prefect. So I'm person me a prefect. I don't see myself leading people, and since you have no idea, say I've been a very shy person, right? Sister maybe catch us said, "What about no casa be an but now said yeah, of course, make be and Jimmy because me casa do, India, right? But growing up, I was very shy, very quiet, don't say much. And for you to expect me to be a prefect, and that is what society saw me to be, and because you say bibi wo honom na yes ye dia meye, but say me babeka say baby dinko for him there forget it NC. Oh, and as they try to force me to do that, like I said, one assistant headmaster of academics, oh, there's all the only couple no person here, oh, the library prefect. I'm like, no, I don't come and pay. I just want to go through the school. That means come baby. Well, and that is where you really identify who you are versus who society sees you to be. In Tebia, now a jumedie be a person more year, school be a person more course be a person more year. There be no, I don't feel for that. Oh, Obi more show more jachin uncle doctor, uncle nurse, uncle into the health field. And yet, Obeko into the health field, uncle where there's no blood. So that kind of identification is extremely important, right? And then they become rebellious as they don't want to fit into the status quo. and I call you muddy, and I will no teach, and I'll change on person by yet. It is also partly because we are not seeing where they're coming from. And kia 2 year bo, and a kia who baby a komusu fiba, a be a kebenya entiase amo. They also try to find out about their gender and sex preferences. And this one I would say because the literature says so. And the society have also taught them that. And Mesheda put this in there because we may think it say yes, for it is binary. We are bar and now we are bema, so there's no thing about finding out about your gender. But let's also understand it. We live in a world where we are taught otherwise. So yes, it is true. Some of our Seventh-day Adventist youth will be struggling with the issue of gender identity and sex preferences. As to whether you're Bema and also you're I'm stuck in a male skin or feel like I have this, right? Clearly, it is a dysfunction. It's a dysfunction, period. And it needs to be talked about. There are also other conditions that if they are to have it now, they tend to have more propensity of having identity issues like borderline personality disorder and all that, right? But then in this case, in terms of identity and role confusion, the struggle is real for our youth. Therefore, it is extremely important to say, if they have any of those problems, we try to work with them through it. But let's not think and say, oh, there be a we live in a world where all of these information is at their disposal, and a site be or visit, and you may be a or group will be a womb, you have no idea, and the challenges they face. Okay, so they get stuck at one stage, or they suffer from identity diffusion and role confusion. And you know what say my car I want pempe so be. And you know, say what say me who I really am no. So for some people up to about 25 years, they don't really identify themselves very well. And you know, say ebia course crop be ye wadam school no why no school courses sa onya hundi opeso ye ankasa. Obi wonu so adwuma mu krampo no wona asa waka ewo pempe so bi ontimi nko nanim. All of these are very important that we work with them through it. Some also join cliques or cults, right? Just to find that identity, you know. Oh, tell me, I be hard guy. I be hard guy. If the hard guy, high guy, you know. And as I say, well, I want to be popular in school, right? What does it take? Whatever it takes, then they want to be popular because they want to feel identified. And as part of the identity, you know, so also comes with acceptance. And you know, if I see myself as a hard guy and I'm not accepted by the hard guys now, then I have to do what hard guys do so that I can be accepted, right? And this is very important as they go through these stages. And then it also leads to some personality disorders where they stuck in one stage or the other. Okay, then this group, the intimacy versus isolation. It is extremely important to this group, you know, as to who they are with. And you know, on a normal basis, at that age, yes, we're college, just get into the society, life begins, often or struggle, all of that, right? So intimacy becomes extremely important to them. But I must also add, they say, at this point, the intimacy part starts a bit earlier than 21 years, right? At this, you know, Gen Z way. It starts a bit earlier than 21 years. And you know, as parents, as family, as uncles and everything, we have to show them love. As a chum will say, oh, homo, or say, yetimima yeni esu ekuomo. And they also want someone to show them the love, you know. So it doesn't have to be a romantic love or anything like that, but then the affection. Say, oh, homo, then they don't have to seek it outside, right? And this group, typically, meaning said Nancy, they know every sister, but typically they are more faithful in their relationship because intimacy is extremely important to them. No, if they get someone who they really love or get to be intimate with now, then they tend to be faithful to that individual, right? They also try to get rid of anyone who gets in the way. Anything and pempi, you know, a babuna wesi so bear around this age, also a budwa, the obeke be an air then say obetiasie. Because if you try to get in the way of or then the friend now, then it's like one or nipa bonini, right? So it has to be handled very tactfully. And our social pressure for on one to get married, you know, also gets very high around this time, right? Because I know mate I worry, I know that kind of thing. They also become very dependent on the one that they believe to love them. You say, me also abayewa wei anase abranti wei ana me mame anase papa anase me nuanum kyerɛ me ɔdɔso nko bi a then after the bitimi down mo bibi ha me a metima ka kyerɛ mo de koso bia no I can look up to them. And if they don't have any, then they tend to be withdrawn from peers and sometimes blame others. So that is the intimacy versus isolation. To say, but they say, onya anyone to be intimate with, and as I say, onya odona ohiano efi na busua na adofo na society, and as I say, ne nikunu anane boy anane girl, then they tend to be withdrawn and blame others. We kenya me mami anka, come on, kenya me nya we anka, that kind of thing, right? Kenya we anka, then the next one is the 40 to the 60-year-old. It isn't that the saying said life begins at 40 it comes from. The generosity versus stagnation. And we tend to generate more, we tend to move up more, we tend to achieve more, we tend to strive to achieve more. And if all of that does not happen, then we feel say yaka, yapem, bibi nkoso my. And at this group, you realize it's really huge, right? And the previous one also equally really huge. That's about 19 years span, 21 to 40, right? And then this is 20 years. And they are more concerned about establishing and guiding the next generation. In Dubois, they tend to be in leadership roles. Say, sorry, they tend to be more in leadership role because after the who say bi oyenyi enti na ese ye share say ne bo won so a eba no no so aba take you over, and they tend to also pass on wisdom and road to others they find satisfaction in doing so, right? Enti na abra menya mabunu bi a metimi ebo mo no mo so aba be the petitu in my mind they say me bo mo be the petitu no. That is where the satisfaction comes from. Once when need je ho say oh yes adwuma no enti no say dem mekaye no, they tend to be mentors to a lot of the younger ones. Yeah, and at that point so no, whether sorry mu any social group be no, yes, we want to be at the forefront and then leading. And most people also tend to be stuck at this age because Anna obetumi are getting into the position where they can make a meaningful impact in the lives of others. Then the stagnation part comes in, right? Then let's look at the last one. Now, for taking some questions. Integrity versus despair. At this point, 60 plus, seen it, done it. Entienya afi no ba behwe say, oh, ana we ne pemasem ne we pemasem, ana we ne domi ne we domi, ana santo kwa nketinketi no oni humre bio, right? But then they become more appreciative of life. I mean, I am a domi call retirement, my retire, and as I say, me feel quite nim, right? Other that can say, me feel woman, me nim eso asi the omechi. If you want a new no SRC the one who also has made into the water diema. And at this you hear more of these things from this age group because what the baby our year, Yamaya and maybe I do or ma the man or munina independent. That's a Yamaya do say so we the idea almost level of satisfaction, right? It becomes even more. But there are certain things that are more important to them, their integrity. Is way more important. And to say over kind of one somebody no a year more than so because so many were done for you. Who cares? But then the previous group, So Obeka say onya na down for no ebe ne ya more than say be Obeka no has somebody. Oh. And you know, and they also possess a lot of wisdom and integrity in society. And you know, was anything I come for teach you, yeah, they are oh, and I would a cracker ni pedinya, send up any differ because of the integrity, their ego, and all of that. And you know, we want to protect that. And you know, oh, penny for near yana or penny to the nurse, so now as you right? But that possession of wisdom, no. Before when I am a kaya medem, but Sabio onye do any so na becomes a warehouse of wisdom. Oh, maybe some yes, because it's Debbie. But I just trying to make a point to say we have the integrity and we have the despair. So if they don't really command that respect and integrity now, then that is where they get into the despair part. Okay. And they're also not afraid of death much. And once they get to that point, we were patient, but could be she's about 88 or 89 years old. Now, I'm more refer me about psychiatry, right? And I'm also depressed. So I say now, like she's not complying with the medications, all of that. Now, time I assess it, no, say, at this age, after the Bible catches me no federal, me say me checking my blood pressure every day, and I mean the way me say, what is the point? At this age, 89, I'm 90 years old. After number checking blood pressure, debia. Let me eat what I want to eat, when I want to eat it, how I want to eat it. Let me sleep if I want to sleep. Let me do what I want to do because let me call. And apart from that, like what else is to life? I am 89. The many biya me sa Kenya fe na ba be biya right? It's at that point, yamia you are wadru, and that is how mostly feels. Me coming anabako, she was almost 100 years. Now, oh yeah, I say Adwa, which is not referred to mommy. Adwa, see, the American so over from Yako. Anytime we have a Kobe and Nana, see, the Americans. So at that point, death is not really much of a problem to them, right? And if they don't have a happy life at this stage, then there's a lot of frustration, a lot of grief, a lot of sorrow, and all of that. Some of them, it may not be their fault. So that is the end of today's presentation. And once again, we talked about all these for us to understand. They said, one, what are the expectations of us from society? Yankasano, so do we know where we are in these stages so that we will know whether we are approaching our goals or not? Because we're talking about family mental health, right? And I say mental health in the family. Whatever stage they are, any issues as well be na enya wo so. At this point, me dey see say next obi was say bia or the abana sima kakra aka no ye dey ya no metamasi.
And you asembisa obi a wasembisa bia akwanya wo ho se obetumi abisa.
Me pacho me na me di kan. Dr. Mpacho, my question maybe some baby, she just turned 3. Now, all sure or more characteristics, And I'm a wife and bisa. Or so when you baby, no what come. Nah, you're quite sorry. Me say at this age, they really want to explore. So, and me wanna during COVID until you will fear until the first time I see a quite sorry no. What is your casa microphone na waiting tea. Since then, me who see your bass or be or person or quite anymore or pay organ proper so or call. And I would more casa no can say like you better try you better control one tea. Me be quite on in a moment who say sometimes a young honey pebble bray, a mamma who penny for us, so the mamma baker and I'm no watching no watching. just that I don't say anything about it. Sometimes I get really worried. And see, Doctor Mepacho, at this age, a lot of people raise concerns. They say, I'm mean to me, and handle ye at the church, and I say, well, get it out of hand. How Madden my channel at this stage, yeah, woman, what other thing do I need to do? And the many will be anonymous, but it's one kasa in real life, and I'm not how I'll be an me here help with some situation.
Okay, Sister Lucy, Medase, this problem continues to be a problem for me because I see so many times where in chronic stage in this one, and also say even in the church, more yet like either so the day or moving your mouth, then once a couple will be no much when you parents, and I say it is a problem because one, we can have all the kids running on the stage, right? During divine and I say Bibisa, I understand. In the same way, also no, yes, you more for a downfall, or my downfall fear. So can they express themselves? But there's time and place for everything. I also get that. Me answers in the base say, right, I'll go back both ways. But then also no, what is our role? It is very frustrating as a parent. Send me buy a bibi was sorry. Not I say any in about me. Kebe to me a yenjai. Be old lady back who I sorry. Neba ayo autistic kakra. Na I say kakra because on yet on the very high end, right? Now on the number sorry every Sabbath. Or not two like nipa mienu na woman in tape. Every Sabbath be so I say sorry I change Koreano. Me say two na after the one na busi aba. And neba na ye kakra bi na omo mu anim nyina ba behwe. Omo ya na so mo hwe mo dim. Because say be enye nepe. So the option is two. Either so be ba sorry na so then the busi nyina betina fie. I would rather prefer so obo be ba sorry no. And some of these things we do with. So now back to na ye wo honom no. Unim says me and me ba no. I've stayed at home with that child for the 5 days, if not 6 days, right? One day now me did ba sorry no. Say also ni mu kakra ma no enti no. It becomes so much of a relief for that parent. And church is supposed to be a safe haven. I say baby a metimi akọ na me boa to me yem. And you say yes, you provided that level of support for the parents now. One, enya franco. But parents now can also feel say, including a crano, feel say, yes, I sorry a beer, I was a member. Two, the parents also receive that love and support from Asoreno, and therefore no, it makes it very welcoming for Asoreno. Meaning, Lady Bakubi or Maryland Church, Uncle Asoreno because of a similar situation. And so losing patron me can't say Obano or autism and I say ADHD and anything. No, I'm just my brother answer, right? Into the side of money here. But apparently, no one some churches be on my no more back room with a glass. Say parents are or more of friends who equally enjoy the service while their kids can also express themselves, and it's not a problem and disrupt sorry no. Mema sorry ye nibisa. So we have to just accommodate, as it is. But then we also have a fellowship where you connected TV. But for someone, they feel say my bash or say more sanctuary. We have to look at it both ways. If we have more kids disturbing the whole church, we cannot have church going on. But do we also stop someone from coming to church? I don't think so.
Dear Dr. Kayan and dear Mammy Busana, I was be bien who a sa aquada or disturb church, a disrupt church, programmer, a cotso. Be a na would do any better because one here no pra. wɔn yɛ nkwalaa minim sɛ as much as possible as a parents no wɔn hwɛ wɔn ba no yɛn nyinaa yɛatete nkwalaa pain how jittery nkwalaa can be ɛna yɛasɔre no nso so ɛnam sɛ kurom ha no wɔn hyehyɛ dan mu nti ɛda bi yɛn nyinaa yɛka wɔn duru asɔre no wɔn yɛ free saa na ne kyerɛ sɛ it's like aboa ɛde n'ahyɛ yi mu a no wɔyɛ yi na wɔpie eti yɛyɛ mpanimfoɔ yɛn na yɛsɛ yɛboa wɔn nti no meme pɛ sɛ akwadaa yɛ dede n'anu nti no nsɛm no a ɛkɔ so no menteɛ no ɛni sɛ wo ma saa no wadwene kɔ deɛ wɔyɛ no so menim sɛ wobɛtumi aprotect no ɛno deɛ that should be number one because mekan wahura si te ɛyɛ bi akonnwa bi so kora wɔn nante bi a ne maame ana ne papa kora wɔ akyire ɛyɛ sɛ wo guide na hwɛ sɛ obɛpra ɛni ɛ wɔnhwɛ kora wɔyɛ kora nam sɛ wɔn niw nti wɔn mpɛ so ɔbɛba but wo guide no kɔsi sɛ ne maame ana ne papa na wɔka biribi kyerɛ na obɛtie no bɛba nti no deɛ mepɛ sɛ me conclude ne sɛ and the doctor, you said it right. Many a jehopa say, a better say or beba sorry a betie nyame asem. Na disturbance be a basin say obi say ne ba or beba sorry. No aba be ye dede. Na nipa nyina de ani bone be hwe nti no ma sorry. That is sad. That is sad. Enti mesra mo. Saa de ne de mo me hwe se ye nyina ye betimi aboa medam ase.
Yo, pastor. That's it. All right. I'm just fear man is so then Bethel.
Me that's it. Mze pastor ne feel more boy mze most of us yaka fie nyina ye saa de nyame boa na say yetimi boa safomaya I think say ye nyina be gya zoom na ba sorry ne bi me masen bisa wo pata ye kan about say or say most especially we teenager bi said ya tete ye wo fie ye nyina ye raising up no as ya akwanhwefo yi ye gidie ni se ya wo oba wo ye oba wo bibia ye oba kura ya betina mu yi enioma ye different said ya wo kan wo teenager aba wo ncha be catch you say I feel like I'm trapped in a I'm trapped in a wrong body you say bibi me I can say ya to ho me said the ayatite mini baby and me free bano. It's unheard of. Just a young wasem cry. How do you approach this? Especially some cry ayatiti omo hey. Ye who say ye de Ghana de na etiti omo see ye de had de na etiti omo say na obeti be approaching na bring ya crane down, minimize ya de na and another way so own support. How do you approach it with us?
Okay. So in we're using the best of both worlds. I think that is the best approach. To answer the question, one, we have to be proactive and start engaging them in these conversations when we see the time is right? Like Omudu middle school, especially Hodomono, they want to start engaging them on this conversation, like and school more now for more and then then you start talking about these things like a few honum eba after this ban said or questions be they feel more comfortable telling you sooner than later. So ban also say after the yes or open up to you Esa said the conversation no it is easier to continue. But yeah, final so say yeah kwenya no yes na after the kobanesa one I think I said this. The Bible says, come as you are. But what it did not say is stay as you are. And let us still show them love as Jesus expects us to. But in the attempt to show love, let's not also approve of what is wrong. Yes, Obeka say unto what that I say, Ben wa anobehu city, metiasie. But what I'm saying is let's also approach the issue head on. Let's also educate ourselves more. Say me, I'm the right information. The issue of the binary, Adam ni Eve, and all of that, people may get into some skewed science as to I say, and I say you feel this way and all of that. So the more information we have, the better we'll be able to explain it to them. For the sake of time, no mean to be like a very exhaustive answer on gender and maybe a feedback, the science, and then the history and all of that behind it. But kakra meet me and the canon. Start me name say me you are.
Mpacho me dase. So be a man me for forever, but me train so be forever.
First or sour so ana
Ah,
friend man is also by me so aside to her.
okay. The question no enra preaching no I saw them a preacher I musa question there but now okay Samson and wasem uku 2 Judges 14:1 and 2 but okay echo Judges 14 verse 4 a baby Samson okaka kire ne maame ne papa say oba we ya na ope no person omo but look verse 4 Bible no can say na asafo awurade na ope say Samson saa said yeah when to wait me read Judges 14 verse 4 but also na awurade na ope so saa but na wofuo no enim enti me question ne say when Yankopon esuma obi so onkoye a bibi man no does it become a disorder? I'm battling with it. Until I'm a mibisano. Because Bible look 14:4. So when Yankupon something, yes, sir.
Doc, mame mo ho. Show in the life as I deal with I am the pastor of India, but you are teaching no. Sorry, them I check because I'm maybe a near yet. And here maybe it might be negative, but in the Bible it is attributed say when you're a man, yes, sir. The Jew for and as the people of the ancient Near East, one more minimum. We almost see every action na nipa ye biano eye nyame ne control. So nti wo no India nipa no wa ya de bone de nenso so no senke nyame mpese bekoso a enke nyame be prevent no from doing it enu nti won say ne yikura ye wo mu no adentina mintimi ngware mienu Abraham ware mienu adentina mintimi ye sei we ye sei enso nyame de ne ye adwuma won say nipa bi de eniema bia David kura no wakofo obi yiri esa ku no enso nyame de ne ye adwuma. It is very true. Nyame na kase David nkofa Bathsheba sumo hu de etia no nyame na kase David nkofa Bathsheba nyame oyeye nyame de ne ye adwuma edie enso ade boni na wom ni nyame mpe. Something die nyankopon person oba beye no nkofo se nyame person oba beye judge because that time no said the whole nation was chaotic and to obi ba no obi di so no ko and the actions something ye bia was against onyankopon and hyehyeye. One thing I would do for say in the Jewish sect no we bema na wudnyini dru so page anya na wo kire oba opa pankopema wo mo na decide nipa a ombe ware no ama wo enti in that something say in Jewish wrong and I heard be a koware any me say nyankopon ka kire say the land of Canaanite no mo fa mo mamma wo mo so mo mfa but once the Bible na attribute so na ye meaning say the sin na wo ye no everyone but God allowed it to come. And in the biblical world, ancient years, they attribute it to God. Ebetimi aye bone so nyame na maro kwa ma yes say nyame preventing and conquest and in their mind niema papa nyina afri nyame niema bone nyina so fri nyame but yenso yanim say yan actions say ye own yan actions and in their mind that's how the biblical writers and chiro no and kire say nyame na ka kire ne say wonko no nko ware tutu ni ba no ko ware tutu ni ba na de nyame asem ka cha wonye nyina wanye ye wo babu mu ti say ayi sai nyame ka kire no ono direct de bible record ka nyame nko nyame ka je so nko ware tutu ni ba na wo de ye lesson de ama Israel for no mo kai sa odini no
Jeremiah.
da binya Jeremiah ayi
Hosea.
Medawase. Wanda won say at the end nyame ka kire ne say nyame say what the year lesson the amassania Israel for sitriti wono no nyame. Ne ba ne yire no kobo adwaman kra no wagye no. Eno kra de as a prophet on no akasa na attribute say nyame man yes Something actions ni de eye wono na yes